All right, everybody, now let's do lupus. Chapter 6, autoimmune. Lupus is systemic lupus erythematous. Essentially, any tissue or organ can be targeted. Like all the other autoimmune diseases, it's not completely clear why it develops. We know there's a result of both genetics and the environment. SLE is the abbreviation. Systemic lupus erythematous is a systemic autoimmune disease with multi-system involvement and is associated with significant morbidity and mortality. Genetic, immunological, endocrine, and environmental factors influence the loss of immunological tolerance. You've heard that word before, right? Against self-antigens, leading to the formation of pathogenic autobodies that cause damage. It's complex. We're still learning about it to this day. A break in that tolerance in genetically susceptible individuals on the exposure to environmental factors will lead to the activation of the autoimmune disease. So you have to have both the genetics component that allows it to happen, as well as you have to be exposed to something, we think, in the environment that triggers that. Cell damage caused by infectious and other environmental factors will expose the immune system to self-antigens, right? So it's a self-antigen problem, leading to activation of the T cells and B cells. So we know we're activating now a pathway there, and that becomes a self-sustained by a chronic self-immune response. The cytokine release, the complement activation, and the auto-antibody production leads to these organ damages. Both the innate and the adaptive play a role in the development of lupus. The innate immune system activation is either the toll-like receptor dependent or independent. I'm not going to question you on that. This is just helping you understand the big words of how this forms. Okay? If you read through this, we have the cytokines, endothelial, neutrophilia. All this comes together, and they serve as self-antigens for T lymphocytes. So we're creating our own antigens against ourselves. The T and the B play the significant role. Apoptotic and damaged cells-derived antigens are presented to the T cells by antigen-presenting cells. This also very familiar, right? Serving them up on a silver platter. The T cells lead to the activation of the B cells by CD40L. I'm not going to ask you these questions on this slide here. I just want you to understand how now we can take what we've learned about this whole system of the immune response and now understand then how does lupus work. We have this activation of the T cells and B cells. We have the antigen presenting cells, the APCs, are serving it up on a silver platter. The only problem is that this is going against ourselves, and we are creating our own auto-antibodies. And those are pathogenic, and they cause organ damage by immune complex deposition, complement, and neutrophil activation, altering cell function, leading to apoptosis and cytokine production. So keep it simple. It's a chronic systemic autoimmune disorder with a wide range of clinical and serological features. It's marked by periods of flare-ups and then remittance. Environmental triggers will damage the DNA, which causes apoptosis, which causes the release of the nuclear bodies, which causes the apoptotic bodies to become ineffective due to genetic defects. Those defects leads to an increased amount of nuclear antigens in the bloodstream, which leads to initiation of the immune response. Once the initiation of the immune response happens, now we're going to produce anti-nuclear antibodies, and those anti-nuclear antibodies, put that there, are going to bind to antigens to form immune complexes, and now that's what is attacking our skin or our bodies. So those complexes then deposit tissues in the organs like kidney, skin, and joint, and that is considered a type 3 hypersensitivity reaction. Risk factors, genetic defects have to be there, and then our environmental exposures, the UV radiation, smoking, medicines. We know that you're at risk for it if you're females of reproductive age. Lupus can be a terrible disease because as those immune complexes are settled within our organs, we can have serious complications like cardiovascular disease, endocarditis, and MI, very much issues with our renal function, chronic hypertension, and then things like antiphospholipid syndrome or hypercoagulable states like frequent DVTs, those kind of things. And in a nutshell, that's our lupus.